Alright, my name is Demidoff. I'm working for Percona as a senior software engineer, and today I'm going to talk about logging and Percona monitoring management. So Percona monitoring management is an application, a tool basically, which allows you to monitor and manage your infrastructure. Has anybody heard about PMM? Okay, a few people. You guys must have heard more about Percona, right? Percona, anybody? Okay, more people. Okay, that's good. So basically, PMM is Percona on steroids. You can think about PMM as Percona on steroids. What PMM does, we're not going to have a deep dive into what PMM is, just a few headlines. So PMM is actually bundling Percona. There's a state layer, and PMM actually comes. Meanwhile, we're saying this is on steroids because PMM ships with a bunch of useful dashboards that you don't have to create for yourselves. It's already baked in. You just ship it, you grab it, and use it, right? So we're supporting currently 3 technologies: MongoDB, MySQL, and Postgres, and the fourth one is coming, which is the protocol trace mentioned earlier today, which is called Valky. So basically that monitoring part, and then there's a very interesting tool also that ships with PMM called Query Analytics that allows you to actually analyze your queries, their performance, optimize them, and stuff like that. All right. So what I'm going to try to demonstrate today is how to build a tool like PMM, which lacks certain functionality. Grab another tool that adds the functionality on top of it, combine it all together using the famous technologies such as Docker, right? Everybody familiar with Docker here? Oh, good, excellent. So I don't have to explain what Docker is. And, enjoy and reap the fruits of this joint functionality that PMM offers and that it lacks, right? So let's begin. Actually, I'm just, it's, let's see if I can navigate through this. Oh, yeah, I can. Good. So, short agenda. We're gonna see what we need. I'm going to explain what we need logging in PMM. This is just what I just mentioned. It's not there. Short architecture overview, really high level. We're going to talk about open telemetry. This is the thing we're going to pull in, right? And it's going to be followed up by a short demo. I'm not sure I'm going to master this really, but you guys will excuse me, right? If I get it. And cost and business benefits of the solution, right? Because it can be like a solution. You can really back it in, put it together, and sell it. Why not? And a little bit, we'll touch on the high availability and a shorter literally one slide about AI. All right? This is my favorite slide, by the way. I made this using the built-in AI, this Google Docs, right? My favorite. So we're talking, when it comes to observability, we're talking about 3 pillars, right? Who doesn't know about 3 pillars? Look, you're interested in getting metrics when you have your infrastructure, when you have a couple of servers, be it at home or deployed in the cloud. Even more so if you're an enterprise, like you need to monitor your infrastructure, right? This is why we're talking about metrics. Metrics allow you to sort of see what's going on, things that go up and down, network consumption, congestion, CPU, disk use, and stuff like that. This is metrics, right? The second pillar of observability is logs. Logs, actually what metrics don't answer, like metrics is basically telling you what happens, right? You see like up and down all the stuff, you say like, oh, my memory consumption went up. This is what happens, right? Metrics don't answer the question why it happens, right? Or rarely it does, very rarely. This is why, you have the second pillar, which is logs. So if anything happens, if your node goes down, or if your database is not performing and you don't really get it from the metrics, you will turn to logs, right? Logs are second favorite of the DBA people. I think there's a couple of DBAs here. So logs, finally traces. Really, it's not in the scope of this of my talk, but you can really traces. Traces allow you to say to a lot of sort of trace. It speaks for itself. Sort of trace the, for example, request from A to Z, from where it was born to where it died. Right? It's kind of useful. So we're not talking about traces, only logs, right? So when it comes to PMM, I'm saying that it lacks the logging functionality. It does. The only thing that is has something to do with logs in PMM is we offer an endpoint which you can query and get the logs of all the things that are all the components that are present. PMM's own, and when you monitor the database, it's going to get the logs from what we call agents. So we deploy next to the database, we deploy the agent. The agent collects the metrics, right? So the agent will have a lot of logs, allowing you to see whether or not it's healthy, what's going on there, stuff like that. So actually, the endpoint that gives you the logs is a snapshot, basically. It's at this point of time, right? So it's not about if you want to say, okay, give me the logs in real time, PM can't do it. We'll see how to get it, right? Okay, and you know what? If you want to pay people to watch the dashboards, I doubt this is a good spend of any money. I doubt this is reasonable. So what you most probably want to do once you get the monitoring, the second thing you want to do when you get monitoring done is setting up alerts, right? So you don't want to watch this, right? You don't want to pay people to watch this. You want to set up alerts and walk away. Walk home. Go back home to your friend. So this is this is just to show you that nobody would want to sit in front of such a dashboard full of metrics and watch it, right? Yeah, just like I said, walk away, you grab your phone or whatever, your device, and you get alerted. And then only then you go back to your infrastructure, you log in and see what's happening there. So the status quo, lack of logging in PMM makes it a real challenge for the DBAs. You're looking after the databases, you just get those snapshots, you get the snapshot, it's not there, you get the snapshot, and oh shit, yeah, it's there. Okay. So you need to be really the grab tool. Everybody knows what grab tool is. It's so popular. So you need to be the grab guru in order to be efficient and really fast in finding the root cause, right, from the logs. So it's tedious and it doesn't scale, right? Because it's monotonous, nobody would like it. You need to do something better. The goal here of this solution would be to come up with I call it, ambitiously, turnkey, but to come up with a solution that allows you to integrate your logs with alerting. That would be even more awesome. So not only do you want to have the logs pulled in from everywhere, you don't have to do anything. But you also want to integrate logs with alerting. I have done a couple of early demos when I just came up with something like that, and people immediately told me, Alex, that looks good. You got the logs, but show me how you can integrate logs with alerting. Because that's what you already have when it comes to metrics, right? So far so good. So make sure, so this will be complete when logs are accessible from one common place, which is going to be Demidoff because it has everything. And this is how you will couple them with alerting, and this is how you can be troubleshooting awesome in Let's quickly run through objectives. There's a bunch of them. This is not product report. performance, right? This is me being so creative, coming up with a bunch of stuff that I would like to see in that solution if I wasn't the developer, right? So log collection and processing, not only you want to be able to collect the logs from different sources, but you also need to, knowing that logs, commonly, they would come unstructured, you would need to parse them, you would need to filter them, you would need to inject them somewhere, right? In the persistence store. So this is the first one. Log storage. Persist logs in a structured and queryable format. This is very important because when it comes to the UI, how do you query those unstructured logs, right? So they need to have the same structure. We'll see in a second. Search and filtering. Come on, this is obvious, right? This is what you want to do. So retrieval and block analysis. This is what you're looking for. And also, one thing that is super important in such a solution would be full text search. You see, it's not always that you get to parse them as you wish, right? It's not always. Like different, let's call them log producers. Different sources of logs, different log producers, they would just deliver like bullshit and sometimes you cannot really structure them. So this is why you would also need full text search. In case nothing else works, you just type the sentence that you know should be present in the logs, and it finds it for you. So this needs to have full text search. Dashboard integration. This is obvious. You just mentioned. You want to see them on the dashboard from one UI. So Prevents already has a bunch of dashboards. You want to see them there. Configurable log retention. Yeah, this is also because logs, they can quickly exhaust your disk memory, and this is why you want to efficiently, or you don't want to babysit the logs, right? Rotate them once in a while, remember, oh shit, I forgot, my disk got exhausted, and everything is broken. None of that, right? You need to be able to configure that. Integration with alerting, you just mentioned scalability. Scalability is a good word, actually. If it's your own server and you have a bunch of disk space for 5 years in that's one thing. But if you're an enterprise, how do you know? How do you know? You can project, you can calculate, but still. So you need to. This is about scalability. So when the volume of transactions and the volume of logs raises, let's say you added 100 more infrastructure components to monitor, right? The volume just raises, so you need to scale. You need to scale up. This has to be scalable, right? Developer friendly. This is not from the code perspective. This is from the perspective of a guy like me who sits and kind of does the same as any developer does. So you try something, you fail, you shut it down, you kill everything, you start from scratch with a new config parameter, and then see how it works. It doesn't work, you shut it down, and so on. So this is what I mean by developer friendliness. This solution, the set of tools I'm going to demonstrate is really developer friendly, so you will be able to iterate fast on this solution. And finally, who doesn't like open source? Who wants to pay extra money for tools that you're not even sure you're going to use, but you have to pay? So this is all open source. All of the things I'm going to show are all open source. Docker is just a orchestration, so you can use the open source. This would work even on OpenShift, for example, if you like it, right? So a quick walkthrough through the architecture. I have two similar slides, one with the internal storage and one with the external storage. I'm not sure if I can show you what the event looks like. Let's see if I can. So I didn't want to put this diagram on the slide. This is the event actually. Oh, yeah, I can scroll. Okay, cool. So PMM has the UI, so everything about here, so the query analytics UI, metrics, dashboards, alerting, backup management, advisors, and then we have the PMM clients which are installed next to the database, along with the database. That's why the rectangle is separate. And there, beneath, this is the server. So on the server, I just wanted to, again, forgive me not to go through everything, it's just too complicated. For right now, what matters is this blue box down there that says ClickHouse. So ClickHouse, it happens to be part of Payment already. You don't have to make it. And ClickHouse is the tool that is going to be playing the role of the log storage, right? So let me go back to the slides. So again, this architecture, what you see on the right here is actually what you just saw. So this is PMM, right? This is the UI. I mean, it's much simplified, of course. This is the UI. Here in the middle, you have the data source, which can actually talk to the ClickHouse database. And in this internal one, you see the database is part of PMM, right? There is a similar one that is external, but let me start from the very beginning. So we're saying like, okay, we have the log sources, applications, databases, I don't know, like nodes, Kubernetes posts, what have you, whatever can produce your system, right? Your PC, whatever can produce the logs is considered to be the log source in the terminology of this presentation. So basically, you have like on the left you have the log sources, and on the right you have the destination, which is our ClickHouse database, right? What's in the middle is OpenTelemetry. I briefly touched that on the previous slide. So why OpenTelemetry? Actually, we tried two different things before OpenTelemetry. OpenTelemetry is the third approach in the role. The first two were we used Percona Locky, which is a Percona product, obviously, and we also used Victorial Logs. This is a product from Victoria Metrics that allows you to manage and query the logs, store, manage, and query the logs. So we were not really happy with those two solutions for several reasons. I had a slide, towards the end of my presentation, don't want to run ahead at the time, which compares them, which does the comparison between all of the three. But just right now, we have done a bunch of experiments, a couple of experiments before this. So this is the third one where we said like, okay, let's shoot, because those two, they are not really, it's like, those two, they suffer from adoption, right? They're not super popular, right? So this one, OpenTelemetry, is a framework that is super popular. More and more companies embrace it. This is why it's in there. So what OpenTelemetry does, it's actually three things. Obviously, right? It allows you to connect to the log sources somehow, right? It allows you to. So this is the first one. It allows you to transform, process, filter, and finally batch them. Batching is important. I'll touch on that later. And it allows you to inject them to the ClickHouse database, right? So this is what you see. This is the role that OpenTelemetry framework plays here. Same, but with an external storage. So while the ClickHouse database was put to flip, PMM can be configured with the external database, right? So ClickHouse can be external as well. That is achieved by passing the environment variables to your Docker container. Right? Same stuff with external. This is the slide. This is just really the screenshot I grabbed from the OpenTelemetry project. So this is how they see it. This is how they present it. This is just the first one you will see if you go to OpenTelemetry.io. So what you have here is basically we slightly touched that. So sources, the receivers. They call it receivers. So when you talk to the log source, that's the job of the receiver, right? When you send them to the storage, that's the job of the explorer. And what's in between here is like consisting of a bunch of layers. So you have some extensions like SD, browse, Z pages, and blah blah blah. I'm not gonna give you a deep dive on that. Just doesn't matter. Then you have the batch processing. You can change attributes. So this is being taken care by the processors, and you can filter, right? So there's a bunch of goodness in this framework available out of the box for almost any technology. This project is really like super You can also contribute, by the way. If you see that something is missing from the framework, from the OpenTelemetry framework, feel free to contribute. Feel free to reach out. It's not difficult. It's quite well described. Quite good documentation. I mean, excellent documentation, to be honest. So it's, I like it very much. So what's OpenTelemetry? Finally, right? What have we been talking about? What's OpenTelemetry? It's a standardized protocol which is designed specifically to collect, transmit the metrics, logs, and traces, basically those three pillars. You see, the OpenTelemetry, why it's good? It covers them. It covers all of the three pillars. So, in fact, when you will complete your logging solution for PMM, you will pass it to you will switch to traces, to adding traces, and you will not have to change the framework. That's the good news actually about this one, right? So it actually is like it's an opinionated protocol. It defines everything. So you just have, if you want to contribute, you just have to follow the rules. That's it. So in our solution, we have like several components, right? Just briefly mention them, but let's go through them one more time. PMM server, it's a central component, which has a bunch of stuff already that allows you to visualize metrics and logs and manage the imagery. ClickHouse. ClickHouse, I know some folks will be presenting for ClickHouse later, so I just don't want to talk about ClickHouse, but actually the good news about ClickHouse is that it performs really well on analytical data. It's a column-based database. It's like super performant. I like it so much. So actually, this is what we use to store the logs. OpenTelemetry, as mentioned, right? And there's I showed it on the previous slide for the architecture, the ClickHouse data source. So actually, Grafana maintains this ClickHouse data source. Funny enough, but yeah, that's what it is. And so like ClickHouse data source is actually your UI to interact with the stored logs. So once you collect the logs, you want to query them. This is where you go, right? So ClickHouse data source. So all those components. ClickHouse features real quick highlights on compressions, a very rich choice of compression algorithms for different types of data. Plum filters, this is what makes it possible to have the full text search, right? And certainly fast works. Partitioning, ClickHouse, why a lot of it makes it so easy to partition your data if you need to. TTL management. I was really shocked. It's that it's a one-line change if you need to change the persistence from, let's say, from the default whatever it is, 7 days to 30 days, or from 30 days to 2 months, or what have you, right? So it's so easy with ClickHouse. So TTL management just comes out of the box with one shot or one command, which is alter database, and you only change the TTL. That's it. Real quick about the database schema. So I was actually killing myself trying to come up with a good database schema. I read like maybe dozens of different blogs. It was getting too complicated, lost a lot of time. But it turns out when you grab OpenTelemetry, it does it for you. There's a parameter, you can turn it on, and it will create the schema for you. You don't have to research. You don't have to worry. And the schema, what matters is already recognized out of the box by the data source. So actually, it's like it just works well together. So down below this very last line, if you can see, you have the TTL of 3 days, and this is actually what you want to change when you need to change your retention from 3 days to whatever. All right, I'll do my best, I promise. This should be my terminal. So let me see what. So you see, what I did here, I put 4 different different containers together. So let's start from PMM. PMM is the, as we mentioned, PMM because this is where the metrics are stored, right? And this is called PMM server over here, right? I spun up a Postgres database for the purpose of the demo, so this is the second container, but it's nothing specific. You guys would know how to do it. The OpenTelemetry collector, it comes packaged already, and all you just need to do is to run Docker pull or Podman pull, right? You don't have to create this container. You don't have to worry. It comes bundled with a bunch of tools, those processors, those exporters, everything is in the middle. It's all there, so you no need to worry, right? And ultimately, Mailhawk is just a way to package your it's just a way to see the email notifications coming to your URL. So I just didn't want to use an external solution like Gmail or something. So you will see it on the screen, right? So this is the content. Okay, and let me show you the UI. I'm not sure if okay. So you see, metrics are coming. This is the home dashboard. We're not going to go to the Postgres dashboard. The home dashboard, some metrics, this space, reads, and blah blah blah. You're all familiar with something like that, right? We do have the click house. So let me just clean it up. I'm not sure I can run this, but yeah. We do have, so this is the UI for ClickHouse data source. This is what it looks like, right? So from that, now let me just do this query builder. So you see, this is provisioned already. So the database is called hotel, where my cursor is, and the table is called. So everything goes to just one table in this database. That's it, and it's replicated, right? The query type. This is where you need to change it, but because the default below is the table, you need to change the logs. And boom, this changes. Now you need to click on this one, use hotel. And as you can see, it's already friends with it already knows what OpenTelemetry means, right? So here's the difference. You unclick, you see those fields coming in the message, they become available, right? Now, when you click, this is just, they sort of assume this is the same defaults, right? So they don't have to, okay? And then, the good news about this solution is this is pure SQL. The bad news about those two previous solutions, this wasn't SQL. You need to learn a specific language. It's called differently for those two products. One is called LogQL, the other is called LogSQL. So in Locky it's LogQL, in Victoriametrics it's LogSQL. Here it's a totally different story. This is something developers are familiar with. They know what to do with it. And if you're not happy with the sort of with the query builder, this is the query builder. You see that little button turned on? This is the query builder. You can always click SQL editor and you will deal with raw SQL over there, right? So the Mailhawk is empty, but this is just the container I mentioned, so we can visualize the logs, right? And alert tools. So this is the alerting component of PMM, right? And I have provisions down there just to demo a little bit of goodness. I have provisioned 3 separate alerts. So I want my system to alert me when the admin password changes. This is something you cannot get, or you cannot easily get from the metrics unless you do some dance around it, right? So when the attempt to change the password was successful, when it failed, it's super important for some admins, right? Somebody is trying to hack you, so those 2 use cases. And the third one, when Postgres database system is being was killed actually. So when it was shut down, this one on the contrary, you can easily get from the logs. So this is just the purpose of the demo. This is not coming from the metrics. This is going to come, the alert is going to come from the logs, right? Alright, so let me switch back to my monitor, and I'm trying to. I don't know what hand. Okay. And I didn't see that. So Docker exec -it. I'm just going to get inside of the container, inside of the PMM container. PMM server. One hand, right? I've never done this before. Sorry. Bash. Oh, okay. We should be inside. Oh. Is too much of DDD? Docker? Yeah, okay. Let me. It just doesn't complete. No, it just doesn't want to complete the. I mean, normally he hit tab, it just doesn't work when I'm presenting. So I have to type it one more time. PMM server dash, and it should get me inside. There you go. We're inside the container. There's a tool that PMM offers for you. It's called change admin password. So I'm going to type change admin password. Change, I can type it, admin, repeat for me, password. And let's say we want to imitate the failure. This is not a valid new password, right? The system is going to yell. So let's see. Yeah, you see, the new password doesn't mean the password policy right here. So Percona doesn't mean it. I mean, it's passed over to Percona. Percona is trying to change the password, it fails, and this is what you see. Let's go to the UI and see. We should see one of the first one should start alerting. So it's gonna alert in a second while it's preparing to alert. Let's switch to this one. There you go. Just got the alert. You can click on it and see what it does. You see, security alert. I mean, I have configured this. I have provisioned this for you, so I will let you know where you can grab it and play with it. So actually, it has all of the details. It says severity critical. I mean, this is just me thinking that this is critical. You may think it differently, but I think it's critical, right? Team security. This is the team configured in the alert that will receive the email. Service Percona, because this is what handles your password change request, right? And alert time, log message, everything you need, right? It's just happened. So Explorer, sorry, the alerts. Oh, I think it's gone already. It was so fast. I mean, for the purpose of the demo, I configured it to be so fast. So this is why we don't see. But actually, just trust my word. It flashes red and says fire on one of the alerts. So this is how you actually receive the alerts. This is what makes it possible, right? Next, let's go back to the terminal and let's I'm just trying to bring it. No, I'm not gonna see it. Guys, do you know how to Alexei, you would know how to make this window? I mean, I'm just tapping and I'm not seeing the last
You can clear this screen just like
Oh, thank you. Clear. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I think I know this command. It's just demo. It's just demo time. So let me go back and let me go back and try to provide a decent password. So admin, let's say 123 exclamation mark. Yeah. All right. Now it's a different outcome. The password has been successfully changed. Let's go back to UI. Let's hope. Oh, you see, firing. And this time it's firing for the. Oh yeah, no, this is for the previous one. The phone is sometimes, sometimes a little bit crazy. We saw the alert, and this is still pending. So I don't know if it's due to the screen refresh issue or something. Maybe let's try to refresh the screen. And it should expand. Oh, yeah. You see? Admin password change alert. So this is the success. It was a screen refresh issue, right? So success changed, and we go to mail clock, and we'll go back here, refresh, and we see the second one. This one was delivered seconds ago, and now this is the success. So this demo is basically what we did. We just had PMM, we pulled in OpenTelemetry. I'm not going to show you the details of how I married those two together. It requires a config, right? But I'm going to share with you the pull request to your repository. So you will see the config YAML, and this is where it all happens. Literally, you need to share somehow. You need to make the logs accessible to OpenTelemetry agent, right? So I'm doing it in this particular demo. I'm doing it via a shared volume. So let's say if Postgres produces logs, I know where they're stored in the container. I expose this container as a volume, make it available to OpenTelemetry Docker container, so it can reach out and read it. So I mount the same volume to two different containers, right? One that produces and one that consumes, actually. This is how you make it possible. And once it's able to read it, it processes, it does the job in between. You can manipulate whatever you want to do with your logs. Should they come unstructured, no matter what, like you will be able to parse them. And there's plenty of examples. I think if you turn to AI, like when you say something, I'm just imagining your prompt. I need to come up with a processor. This is called processor. With a processor for my OpenTelemetry framework for this database. Let's say Postgres database. And you will probably grab the output of those logs because it's also much better. It empowers the AI to infer what you're trying to parse, to come up with the best parsing, And in terms of the parsing tools, there's like an infinite choice of those formats that are commonplace, that are known, that are well documented, and so on. If it's not well documented, you just go and grab the regex parser. It's called regex parser, and you will tell it, okay, these 5 characters, they stand for severity, these 10 characters, they stand for message, and so on and so on. And wildcards and stuff like that, because if the length varies between different fields, like you will use wildcards and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is how you do it. Okay, 5 minutes. So let me go back to the presentation and run and finish it real quick. So just saw the demo time. Competitive advantages, right? Cost benefits. I mean, this first bullet point, reduce storage costs. You get it for granted with ClickHouse. None of that is okay. Different storages, they have different KPIs, right? So I'm strongly convinced that ClickHouse beats all of the other solutions in terms of its capability of full text search, in terms of CPU consumption, disk consumption, compression, and everything. Yeah. Okay. This is why I'm saying reduce storage costs, just because it's ClickHouse, right? Lower infrastructure requirements. You don't need that much CPU, right? It's more efficient. Okay. No license fees. Everything I'm showing you is open source. You can double check and shoot me an email if it's not, right? Reduce operational overhead. Well, automated rotation, like I just mentioned, you don't have to babysit. You just change the TTL and that's it. Go home. I'm just behaving, as if I was to come up with a solution and sell it on the market. So business benefits. Faster troubleshooting. Like before we said snapshot. Now we say and there's even a button on the UI that allows you to stream the notes, right? They keep coming, you will see them. You'll scroll through, right? So high performance queries. This is much faster. ClickHouse is much faster. You would leverage probably. You would want to leverage the database you love. I don't know. Maybe Mongo. Maybe something else. Maybe Victoria. It's not as performant. That's it. Standard rates, you future-proof your solution. You don't have to worry because actually there's so many companies that have rating-based open telemetry. So the question is, where do you go if you hit a snag, if you have a problem? Where do you go? Forums? Sure. It has forums. It has a bunch of community behind. So there will always be someone to answer the question, right? Or to help you out, right? Developer productivity. Like we mentioned, you iterate super fast, really super fast, and you test really fast. Enterprise ready, I would say, yeah. Those tools, they are really production. I mean, let's just have no doubt they have production ready. ClickHouse is a really great database. It has a good adoption. I promised you this last slide comparing those three different solutions. So when it comes to ClickHouse, Loki, and Victoria. All of the three were right. You don't like it? So disk usage, ClickHouse is green, right? Loki is a much higher disk consumption. Victoria, moderate, right? Performance, ClickHouse enjoys a much higher performance. Loki, not that much. Victoria is somewhere in between. Scalability, ClickHouse is scalable out of the box. Problem is, when you want to scale Loki and Victoria Box, this is also possible, but there is much more effort to make it scalable, right? Query language, we're dealing with SQL in case of ClickHouse, right? And we're dealing with those custom languages, you will have to learn them, and I'm sure you will pick a couple of snags. They don't do, they're not as flexible as SQL. And finally, licensing, look at this. ClickHouse is attaching to the zero. Do what you want. While Loki is not so open source friendly, AGPL free is not really open source. Victoria is green. So I mentioned the HK compatibility. Actually, PMM can run in HK mode. It's not that production grade. You need to know a bunch of parameters. You need to read a bunch of help. You need to read the documentation, but you can run it in HK mode for sure. If that is true, by extension, this can also be, this solution, the login can also be made, like I just showed you the external database. This is what is going to make it highly available. So why implement logging in PMM? Performance. Just this 50x, I grabbed it from. I'm sorry, I didn't keep the source actually. I grabbed it from a blog post somewhere. Someone was comparing. So this is where the 15x comes from. Efficiency. Again, minimum disk usage thanks to the awesome database. Flexibility. There's a bunch of tools to choose from, so you're flexible. You can query the logs from wherever you want, right? Scalability, capable of handling enterprise scale. This one can handle, depending on the machine and stuff like that, it can easily handle terabytes of data. I'm sure. Well, petabytes, of course, it's a different story. I mean, come on. There's no joke. We're not talking about petabytes, but terabytes, yes. Developer experience, mentioned that, and cost effectiveness, right? And ultimately, we have one colleague, it's like, look, we have just heard about AI, a couple of speakers before me. We just touched slightly on AI. And actually this solution can be easily coupled with AI. So we have one colleague who has delivered an internal demo where via an MCP server, he gives AI access to query analytics, which is part of PMM, to the, not yet to the logs because it wasn't ready for his demo, but to query analytics. And he's basically saying, look, I have this slow query. Can you please tell me what's wrong? So what the AI does, it connects to the database, it connects to the query analytics, it figures it out for you, and it gives you an advice. It's up to you, certainly, it's read-only, so no damage, right? So it's up to you if you want to grab the advice, it gives you a SQL statement. And it says like, the AI says like, add just this index, paste it to your database, and you're going to be good to go. And we have tried it, and geez, this works actually. You will not believe it, this works. So this is why I'm saying, it's a bold statement, right? But you can do it. You can do it, okay? And actually logs are a great source that would make your AI inference, bring your AI inference into a much higher level. One thing, you have the logs you can read from the database, you have the metrics you can read from the database, but the other thing is you get the logs, right? So it's much more, it's much more reliable. You don't want the AI to just come up with some arbitrary advice. It's just, you don't want to train it, right? You want to make it as reliable as possible. This is why I'm saying, it's a great, it would be a great deal, and actually we're hoping we will be able to sort of make something like this possible in the very near future. Ultimately, resources, so the documentation for Percona monitoring and management, open telemetry, this is where you can go, guys, for the documentation and everything. ClickHouse, certainly, and this sort of, you can pull it from there and reach out to me if something doesn't work, but it should. It should. All right? Now, sorry, ran out of time. Maybe a couple of questions I can take? Sure. Do we need to go back to the slide where the comparison?
I have only one question. Why you use Grafana and ClickHouse data source instead of use using ClickHouse data source?
Yeah, good question. But frankly, I haven't tried. Right? Yeah, I was so obsessed with getting this work. I was so excited. I got so excited. I haven't tried anything else. And actually, I don't even know how they compare. So I would really appreciate if alternative data source, which is, I believe, the same, right? Pretty much the same. If it beats the native Percona data source for ClickHouse.
They will need details.
Okay, good. All right. Anybody? Yeah, sure.
Thank you for the presentation. My name is Tim, and I'm a database administrator. My question related to agent that should be installed on all, for example, my database servers. First question, for example, in Grafana Exporter, it collects metrics and gives with HTTP protocol, but metrics are okay, but in agent, as I understand, it collects also log files. Which may sometimes contain some sensitive information. So how agent pass this information to the main application system? Is it open protocol or some closed protocol? And the second question, what kind of permissions you need for the agent, for example, connecting to database and in operating system to access log files and so on. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question is, how does the agent, and you're talking about which agent? Because we have the PMM, the agent that is part of the PMM, PMM client, right?
Yes.
You're talking about that one?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, you do need to install it next to your database. Why? Because actually what we call PMM client is a bundle. We have the node exporter, we have an exporter per database, right? We have the exporters for query analytics, right? So there's a bunch of them. And they all need different types of permissions. Certainly, they will need passwords. They will need passwords because otherwise, how can they read from the database? For example, I don't know, performance schema. It's a database, right? It's part of the database. How you can read from the performance schema other than connecting with the credentials, right? So to answer your question, how you can give access, right? You need to install it and give it access. And this is all being done via PMM admin tool. So you run PMM admin, and then dash password, dash user, and you provide all those dash port and stuff like that. So you provide all those things. And it keeps, we have imagery. So it keeps it in the imagery. If something happens, the node is taken down, you spin it back up, and it's working again. You still have the imagery. So the second question was level of permission. It depends. It depends. Sometimes you need higher levels of permission depending on what type of metrics you want to cater. Some of the metrics, they require higher levels, so some of them can be read-only. So talking about the logs, you just need to give read-only access. It doesn't need write access, right? Sure. I hope I answered it. No?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.